More health news. UnitedHealth, that's the nation's largest medical insurer, is planning to buy drug benefits manager Catamaran for nearly $13 billion in cash. But is it good for your health and your wallet? With more, Avik Roy, a scholar for the Manhattan Institute. Avik, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. You're coming to us from Miami. You look pretty relaxed there, my friend. Tell us.
I'm pretty relaxed.
Are there implications for consumers in this deal?
Yeah, so one of the big things that's going on behind the scenes in the healthcare world is the drug companies and the biotech companies that are developing these new treatments, they want to charge high prices to reward themselves for all the R&D. Insurance companies, on the other hand, want to keep prices down so that they can keep insurance premiums lower and get more business. So this deal, the UnitedHealth deal with Catamaran, it's a way of basically gaining leverage over the drug companies so that they can convince those drug companies to give them rebates or discounts so that those drugs will cost less over time.
So UnitedHealthcare here paying almost $13 billion in cash in this deal. It's not a tiny deal. It's very big. Any other implications for consumers? Might it have an impact on the drugstore you use, or what might be available to you? Any other implications down the road, even if you're not a UnitedHealth customer?
Yeah, again, the main thing is that the prices for these drugs will be lower, and there's more leverage to steer people towards generic drugs if there's an effective substitute relative to a branded drug. So, for example, one area is blood pressure lowering drugs or cholesterol lowering drugs. A lot of times those drugs are now off patent, and they literally cost less to manufacture than a can of Coke. So they're very cheap, and the branded drugs can be very expensive. So the insurance company can reward the generic manufacturers over the branded manufacturers, or at least convince those branded drug makers, those newer drugs, to lower their price to give consumers a better deal. So this could mean lower prices for consumers, mainly in terms of the premiums they're seeing with their insurance companies, and also those co-pays and those when you go to the pharmacy, what you're paying directly to spend on those prescription drugs that you buy for your everyday use.
Well, Avik, I'm glad to hear some good news coming out of the health insurance sector, that's for sure. Before you go, though, I want to talk to you about the Supreme Court. They are declining to hear a suit over what we call death panels, what the rest of the world calls independent payment advisory boards. People laugh at me when I say death panels actually exist in Obamacare. They do, and the Supreme Court is not going to hear this suit. What do you make of this?
Well, there's a lot of debate about whether these are death panels or not. But to get to the actual case, this agency within Medicare that was created by Obamacare called the Independent Payment Advisory Board, it hasn't been set up yet because it's only triggered to be set up and activate if the growth in Medicare spending reaches a certain threshold level. Because Medicare growth and the spending in the growth in Medicare spending has been slow. It's been slow in the last couple of years, so IPAB hasn't been turned on, and therefore these litigants who tried to complain that IPAB was unconstitutional, the case was thrown out because IPAB doesn't exist yet, so they didn't have standing to sue. If IPAB does get activated over the next couple of years, you could see this suit come back in another form.
Quickly, Avik, do you expect it to be activated soon?
Not in the next year or two, but perhaps over the year 3, year 4, year 5, as the baby boomers start to retire and there's growth in Medicare spending again, which is what the Congressional Budget Office expects. You should see growth again in Medicare spending as those baby boomers retire, and then IPAB will kick in, and then you will see these constitutional challenges. What the litigants or the plaintiffs were complaining about is that IPAB transcends the separation of powers. It gives this unelected board of bureaucrats the ability to tell Congress how Medicare should be changed over time, and the argument that these plaintiffs were making was that that's unconstitutional. That's something that only Congress can do. An unelected group, an unelected government agency doesn't have that power under the Constitution.
And of course, the expectation that this independent payment advisory board will put limits on spending, decide what kind of care you can get, what kind of drugs you might be able to get under government payment. I'm sure we'll talk more about this down the road. Avik, enjoy Miami, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Gerri. Appreciate it.
Thank you.